What I hate about debating with conspiracy theorists, whether they are pro Russian conspiracy theorists or anti Israel conspiracy theorists, they're always like, oh, here's some insignificant thing that happened, but I'm blowing it out of proportion. Quick, do your research. And then you have to waste time like researching and get these documents and kind of going, yeah, nothing you said there changes the fact that both Russia and Palestine are the aggressors in the current wars going on, and they're even like aligned together. So like it doesn't just doesn't make sense. But because I had to like watch some videos and read some things on this topic, I'm going to explain the argument against the belief that the 2014 riots, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the place, in Ukraine was a US led coup. Number one, from memory, half of Ukraine have always been pro European. I remember from like following their politics from 2004, there's always been a very pro European movement in Ukraine. And while it's true that for a while there was also a large pro Russian movement in Ukraine, like that has shrank to like 10% of the population. So in 2014, no, 21st of February 2014, we can see clearly videos of lots of Ukrainians protesting against the government. That is an absolute fact. The US couldn't have staged that. That's just insane. And the idea is like, oh yeah, well, there's all these right wing groups. It's like, yeah, well, you're allowed to be right wing. It's called the right wing for a reason. And right wing extremists tend to be very popular in post Soviet countries. Because remember, like, every single country that used to be a part of the Soviet Union doesn't like Russia. There's a reason for that. You know, it's like if some alcoholic, beats all his wives or like has many girlfriends in his time and beats them. Like it's obviously the alcoholic who's a problem. And so even with the evidence that you can find recordings from US senators talking about selecting opposition leaders and blah, 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 shady stuff, that's general American shady stuff. America does do shady things, but not all the time. And sometimes they do shady things, but actually the person they're doing the shady things against is also a bad guy. So I'm not going to defend everything America's ever done. I would say the Trump era, the US largely does good things. And 2014, I would generally be against interference in other countries' politics, but quite clearly, the Ukrainians, at least half of them, are massively pro-European. They've always been at least half. Now it's obviously like 90%. And even when they call it a coup, legally it wasn't a coup. He fled the country, and legally the Ukrainian parliament had a right to remove him. He was removed completely legally. It's effectively like having a mass protest here. Like if there was a mass protest movement in favor of, I don't know, the Islamic regime, right? That'd be awfully suspicious. Why a Christian majority country would be like pro radical Islam. That's very suspicious. But also, like ordinary Irish people would stop that movement from happening, as we saw today. A few hundred Irish people came together, to make Ireland Christian again. So, well, yes, there was American interference. The Ukrainians were genuinely pro-European. Like all the stats, all the data, talking about the lowest it would ever be would be 55% pro-European. Like the pro-Russian side of Ukraine have always been a very small minority and only ever get away with, pretending to be like this guy. I don't get Yankovic. We're not Yankovic when he was leader of Ukraine. Um, he was going to sign a pro-European agreement. I personally would have been against that agreement. That is separate, right? My personal politics is separate from, who's guilty or not. He went against the wishes of the people that he was voted in for. So obviously, it makes sense that there was a mass movement against him. So there was nothing. So the only suspicious thing is some of the conversations U.S. senators had, but like that is just what Americans do. Definitely. Oh no, going to rant now, but definitely from the 1960s to 2014, let's say, majority of America's coups and political influences say had definitely had a negative effect, and often led to even worse people getting power. But having saying that, like we're better off with less communists and Islamists in this world. So there are occasions when America does get it right, and under Donald Trump, US gets it right more often. So that's me bidding you a happy Easter weekend. Oh, and furthermore, if the pro-Russian people keep pushing me on this, I will largely be dismissive. However, I am open to meeting up and having a interview with the Russian ambassador. I'm definitely not pro-Russia. I'm happy to have him up before I meet him, so I'm not going to like sucker punch him with a weird question. I would happily talk to him about his viewpoint on how Russia has handled these affairs of the past 15 years. I will tell him in advance that I will be giving him counterpoints. I will not be trying to, why would I? I will just be extracting information from him. And I would happily promote the idea that we remove the sanctions against Russia and buy their oil in exchange that they pull out of Ukrainian territory. I will discuss that topic with him. So there you go. For some reason, some people think I'm pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Russia, but I would like to buy their oil. And I don't want to spend money on the war of Ukraine. However, if Russia invades Estonia and Poland, I definitely side with Poland.